Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Buster Show. Today we have another very special guest, trainer, and legend, Jordan. Jordan Lawley, welcome to the show.
Well, I am a trainer, Buster, but I'm definitely no legend. It's a pleasure to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. We first met, we were just talking about it right before the apocalypse, let's just call it. Um,
Yeah.
the social apocalypse. And we were playing at it was at All Star in Chicago. We were playing in
Mhm.
this influencer run. We didn't know each other. You probably didn't notice, my outstanding game, but I definitely noticed yours. Uh, it was definitely a good time, but it's good to connect since then.
It really is, man. I had a lot of fun, and your game definitely shone through. Your intelligence on the court is what I was attracted to, man. So I appreciate
I'll take it. I'll take it, bro. I'll take it. So I think a really good place to start, and I always love hearing this because you're not a trainer. You're an entrepreneur that loves training. And I love asking entrepreneurs how they got started. So where do
that.
you think you got that love, whether it be for basketball or entrepreneurship and business and just building your own thing? So where did
Well,
that stem from, and how did that begin going towards what you have now?
um, starting off, like my father has always been an entrepreneur, and I know I grew that like quality or characteristic definitely came from him. He owned a recycling company, concrete company, and a trucking company that all worked together, and they're all centered around his passion, which were trucks. And for me growing up, I saw that how passionate he was with his work and how he was able to make and turn a profit on the things that he loved. So when I first got my bout with entrepreneurship, um, I was in seventh grade, and I was really into it was like 50 Cent era, and your boy thought that I was the coolest dude ever. I'd have like buy these fake diamond watches and bracelets on eBay, and then I'd upsell them to my little Christian school friends in middle school because it was like I was riding this fad, but also doing something that I loved. Like I was all about it, man. Like you would not be able to recognize me then as of now, but like it was just a way for me to kind of take something that I was extremely passionate in, be able to make money off of it, because I always had that mindset of like, okay, rather than just being okay or fine with loving this thing that I'm doing, let's try to make it a way to support this lifestyle. Like, let me find a way to piggyback off of that and turn a profit. So that carried over into high school. In high school, I would sell shoes. I would still sell the watches, and then I'd move into like when I got to college, fixed gear bicycles were like a thing. And as a New Yorker, I'm sure you know what a fixie is. Those messengers that are cruising around, like that became a huge fad in California. So I learned everything that it was, what it was about fixed gear bikes. I was driving them all around campus, and I started slanging those. I was turning a really good profit while playing collegiate basketball. So I've always had this knack of like taking something that I'm extremely passionate for and then making not necessarily a career out of it, but making some side money and a good way to support that lifestyle. I honestly didn't see that as being like the means of me creating my career path, because when we were when I was in high school, there weren't like this, like if you were a basketball trainer, that wasn't your full-time gig. Like you had,
Right.
was a part-time gig, and you had multiple other, streams of income, or you did multiple things. But as I started getting to college, like saw basketball as like, giving me an opportunity to play professionally, but nothing more than that. And it wasn't until I got done playing professionally, when I came back, I was working for a loan shark, and we were acquiring properties. And, it was just something like, for the first time in my life, I was making money doing something that I didn't like I wasn't about. And I noticed like, well, previously, like my endeavors, like business endeavors, like I would always see, great ROI, and, like this, it was just something that was just stagnant. And during that time, I had a couple of clients that I was training basketball, like younger clients that I was doing just for side money, but I was really finding my voice and figuring out how much I loved to teach. And then, while 2 turned to 4, 4 turned to
Hmm.
8, 8 turned to 16, I started realizing that, okay, I'm now making more training than I am playing, or than I am doing my other job. Like, this is an opportunity for me to continue
And I bet you
my,
enjoyed it a lot more too.
yo, so much more. Although they're doing it in Southern California is a little different because you work with some very pretentious little snot-nosed kids. I love them. Hey, if any of you guys are listening, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But it was just one of those things. Like, it was me able to kind of live and create a career path for myself after the values and things that I'd been doing years prior. So that's how my entrepreneurial, mindset and how my career kind of came to be.
I love it, man. If you were to go back and now tell yourself one thing when you were, buying those watches and flipping them,
Uh,
what would that advice be? Would it be just to go straight into training? What would you be telling yourself?
invest more in myself. Like, I feel like I come from a very conservative background. So everything that I did was always, okay, make sure that I turn a profit and don't go overboard. And I wish I took some risk. I wish I, went out and bought more watches to sell to higher quantities, or got outside of my comfort zone to really take those chances early on. Because I feel like if I would have made mistakes early on about investments, it would have helped me later on when I had more big boy mistakes that I made. Like, you know, I when I was in high school, I started a property management company also with my brothers, and
I
we
love it.
managed my family's 2 rental properties.
Nice.
And it was something just very low key, very low maintenance, but a way for us to realize how to grow, a business and how to develop. And then when I got into college, we took the money that we had made and we did invest. So we became like kind of like miniature angel investors. But
I
we
love
ended
it.
up we ended up hitting a home run on the first investment that we had in a company called Eco ATM, which was a cell phone dispensary company where they buy back your phones, they sell them, to third world countries, and we ended up being bought out in public, or went in being bought out by Coinstar, and it was like our first real success with an investment. However, we then had I've had no failures up to this point, so I'm thinking like I'm Midas. Everything I touch turns to gold. I'm going to start
Dangerous.
investing heavily. I'm going to start investing heavily in these investments because everything I touch is gold. Well, I learned the hard way that that's not always the case. So like the next go around, we ended up losing big in a genome project, and it was just like one of those things. Like, I wish I would have invested more early on into certain avenues like that, business decisions, so that way I could have learned right away, like, do proper due diligence, all these little things that I didn't really take into account at a later point when it really made a big difference, for financial reasons.
Got it. So how do you apply some of those lessons now to your full time, which is training and, whether it be virtually or, obviously before in person, and kind of some of the other stuff that you're doing. How do you apply that love for risk? Because that's something that I'm a huge proponent of as well. You gotta take some risks. You gotta mess around.
Yeah,
You have to fail to figure out what works.
yeah. Um, for me, a lot of it is just based off of embracing the suck. Is something that we always say.
I
Like,
like that.
no matter what it is, when you're starting something new, and like, I'm a big advocate. Like, I've loved this, haven't loved it, but this quarantine time has been a challenge. And I feel like one of the biggest problems with today's society is we just are complacent with a lot. And if you're winning, you get complacent with like going through, the equation of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do every time. And this really helped me kind of get out of that rut, that positive rut of, like, oh, it's working, everything we're doing is working. And it gave me an opportunity, like, okay, you know what? Quarantine hits, we have to be out of the gym for X amount of time. Like, let's work on those things, my weaknesses. Like let's go back to the things that I've maybe been pushing off because they've been challenging and I haven't wanted to fail with it. And I don't want to put risk in, and an investment into certain avenues, even though I know they're going to, exponentially help me if I can build them the right way. So this helped me go digital with a lot of our training content, and that the whole situation, the whole quarantine situation allowed me to just dive in,
Mm-hmm.
not worry about the risk, but really just focus on embracing the moment, embracing the suck, and learn on the fly with a lot of the things. And now it's like not a well-oiled machine, but I've learned so much over the last 4 months about the digital space and like growing our platforms. Like our YouTube platform, which I always thought as being like one of my Achilles heel, ended up going from like 14,000 to almost 100,000 followers, and now generating almost $14,000 a month in income, for my business without even batting an eye, just because I decided like, hey, let's have this switch and this paradigm shift in like the way that I handle my business or the way that I handle my content and doing all this stuff. And a lot of it, like to bring in kind of like our connecting piece, a lot of it stemmed from, my love for, listening to Gary Vee stuff and
Love
like
it.
understanding how to, create content and monetize off of pillar content and like all these different little things that I never really like. I just didn't take the risk in and put myself in that position to fail. So gave me the opportunity to really kind of dive into it head first.
Makes sense. It's funny, man. I think the people that win the best are those when they're given any adverse situation or any time to actually think about it, how do they make things more efficient? So like
Mm-hmm.
you took that time, especially on the front end of quarantine, and started thinking, how do I make this more efficient? Also, how do I make it work? Because things are taken away. So you went digital with everything. Even myself, and I could speak to this a little bit as well, for Hoops Nation, which is the basketball platform that I started, I did everything myself because I believe for the longest time that doing things yourself is always better because you don't have to call to anybody. You don't have to, you don't have to do anything. You just, you do it. You do it.
Yeah.
And that's it. I realized that it takes a toll doing everything yourself. So I built out a team at the beginning of quarantine, first, you know, time I'd ever even done that. And it's better. I never, if you told me in February that that would have been my move, I would have told you were crazy.
Preach, my man. That is literally, it sounds like me. That
Yeah.
sounds exactly like me. That's so,
Did you
so
do
important.
everything yourself too?
I wore every hat,
Yeah, me too.
every freaking hat, because I
Yeah.
just thought nobody else could do it. And a lot of it is pride. Like you build something, and I'm sure you can attest to it.
Yeah.
Basketball players and trainers have this is like a huge crutch. Like very prideful in our clients and the way we run business and the way that we, market ourselves. And when you just when you see how far you've come, the last thing like I wanted to do was just hand any bit of it off because I thought, no, there's no way anybody understands like how I speak or how I can do this. So I would literally just put everything on me, stay up till 3, doing all this stuff, wait for my kids to go to bed and put in more work. And beginning of quarantine, you realize like, okay, I need an assistant. I need like somebody who can manage my content calendar, like all the stuff. And it has helped grow my business exponentially.
You know what the funniest part is too? Like you go from thinking that nobody can do the job that you do, and then all of a sudden everybody's better at what you do than you.
Yeah,
And that's the best position to be
dude,
in. Literally,
that
the
is,
guys who are
man.
helping me are 5 times better than I am. And I've
Way
been doing it
better.
for 10 times longer than they had. I'm not like it makes you realize you're not that special and you need people who are better than you to help you. And
Yeah,
that's what I feel like any good business person or entrepreneur or even politician or leader is able to do is they're able to get people that are way smarter, way, they think differently to come on board and help with that. And that's amazing that you have that same experience because it's the best. It's the best feeling.
yeah, man.
So I want to talk about guys that have been in your gym for a second. I know I'm curious whose game you've ever been surprised the most by, whether it be an NBA player that you've seen on the court, and then in private you're like, whoa, this dude is so much better than people even realize. He's gonna be so great, or an influencer or a celebrity. Is there anybody you've seen you're like, he's actually a lot
Man,
better than people thought?
oh my gosh. Probably, I still think to this day, the most athletic individual that I've ever been in the gym with has been Nick Young. And I like that was a long time ago, but like I've never been as impressed as I was with like with anyone just with their sheer level of athleticism than a prime Nick Young. And that was back in like 2010, maybe 2011, when he was just heavily in his prime. And just the amount of like, they call him Swaggy P for a reason, but the amount of like confidence and just pure athletic ability was like literally second to none. Um, I would probably have to say from an influencer celebrity side, Rome Flynn on he's an actor, Emmy Award winner on How to Get Away with Murder, is a tough bucket. Like he can actually go. Like actually hoop. He today we had him in what was it today? I was looking back at like some of the videos that we had, and like we did pro runs like last year, and he was in the pro runs, and he was like getting a shot off, like being able to get like high IQ of knowing how to make right reads on pick and rolls. Like those are things that you don't just automatically inherit that ability. Like those are things that come from like repetitions, like professional repetitions, and he picked it up like really quick. So Rome Flynn is definitely one of the top for like influencers or celebs that can actually go.
That's super impressive. One other guy I want to ask about is Floyd Mayweather. Is he ball
Yes,
or no?
he can. Like Floyd, I would say Floyd's strength is his defense because he's a pest. He picks up 94 feet. He doesn't call any fouls, even though he's a certified hack. Like
Oh my,
we love having him. I love having him on my team because nobody says anything about his fouls. Like we
of
do not want to
course.
get we do not want to get just like a jab to the chin. So he does really well on the defensive end. And he constantly sets screens, he's constantly in motion. He's that guy you want on your team. So we love working with Floyd.
That's hilarious. Is there anybody who's out there that you would want to have in your gym that you have yet to see play, whether it's
Oh,
a pro hooper or not? Who do you want to see in the gym? Who do you want to have guard you?
so I would love to work with Giannis. I'm throwing that out into the universe. I want Giannis. I want Giannis. Uh, from a celeb standpoint, I want Jay Biebs. I want Justin Bieber in the gym.
You can hoop a little bit.
He can hoop. He's a lefty, and I kind of find myself gravitating toward lefties because we're the superior hand. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm
Buster.
a righty, so I
I
can't.
know. I know what you are, man. But I'm a lefty, so we have more of the superior. No, but I just love. I'd love to get Jay Biebs in the gym. We have a few mutual friends, and we're always talking about getting him in and doing our runs, like our influencer runs. And yeah, he sounds like an amazing guy through through the couple of friends that we have, and I would love to get him in.
That's fun, man. Um, so where do you see this going to the next level? What do you
Oh
want to
man,
happen? Are you more interested in building out kind of the content side, building out a training umbrella? Where do you want a show? What do you want? I'm giving you another opportunity to throw things out into the universe because
yeah,
they always come back.
they do. Yeah, man. For me, I literally was just we had a team meeting yesterday, and we brought this question up because everything has been such like a rapid growth, like an instant like growth experience through quarantining, like for the digital space. We literally talked about how we do not know what the future is going to hold for us. And if you would ask me prior to quarantine versus now, I would have said, hey, let's continue to build out, our on-court training. We want to rent out the facility and get it like the facility being funded fully on gym rentals, and then everything kind of like all the training that we do, just being additional, income. And quarantine hit, and now it's like I don't want to train. I don't want to be on the court anymore. Like I want to do my content, and I want to be at home with my family or travel or, do stuff that, that I truly love. Not saying I don't love training. I love being in the gym and communicating and, helping, develop these players, but it takes a toll, a taxing, physically taxing, toll on your body. So it's something that I realize now, like, I'm not as young as I once was. I've had a very serious, surgery and I'm looking at more so a life that's going to allow me to kind of have a little bit more freedom and flexibility. And due to the fact that, I've said, hey, I'm not wearing every hat. I have the people in place that if I wanted to create content, the only time that it's taking out of me is the time it takes to film. And then I let them handle the rest of it. So it's seems like the best way to do it. So if I had it my way, next 3-year plan would be fully get out, get off the court, unless it's filming content, but having my team kind of operate and run, the day-to-day training world.
Smart man. I believe in freedom the most. I think,
Yes.
for anybody out there, that like I really do believe like deep down that freedom and happiness are so close together. And, if you're able to get to that point, which I really do think that a lot of people's goals should be, then you're good. But also
Yeah.
another thing that I'll add to that is, I noticed this with myself, and I'm curious if this is true with you, but my 5-year goal changes every 3 days.
Yes. Dude, what? We're like speaking the same language. We're the same person, man.
But it's true because I go back on podcasts that I've been on or podcasts that I've recorded with other people, and it's so fun to look back at the way that you think. And I think, in kind of, and this is one of the reasons why I love doing podcasts, because everything that we think at a given time is documented, so it's out there, so that in 3 years your next video guy can come back to this and chop up the same answer to the same question that you said over the course of each year, and see how different,
Yeah.
each of them is, and how differently you look at everything.
Yeah.
Just like yourself, I would have probably told you, not that much, granted, has changed on my end, except for pretty much just being in isolation and working more. But I definitely would have told you that I would have been traveling. I was planning on going to like Europe and, overseas and here and there and doing this and that with this person and that person.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to be bunkered down, streaming on Twitch and like, just like doing virtual bro. I
Yeah.
used to think that virtual podcasts were the lamest thing in the world. Like before quarantine, if you told me that I was going to be doing all my podcasts on Zoom, I would have been like, please stop me if I do that. But, since I've realized, I've gotten over that. And then the second thing that I'll say about that is I grew the team where I needed to, and I pulled back on a team where I didn't need to. I had 0 people helping me out with my big business, and I had 5 people that I was paying to help me out with my little business.
Wow.
I took the people
What
from
the?
here and
Yeah.
put over there. And
Dang.
I think, it's funny how, back to the original point on how our goals change so much. It's just about being open to that. Like just the fact that you were open to going to digital and you were able to like put everything else, on hold, like in-person training on hold and building out your gyms on hold. That's it, bro. That's like the secret
Yeah.
sauce that
Yeah.
everybody has to pick up on. and anything you have to that point, as well as kind of what your best advice for some of the younger entrepreneurs out there in terms of kind of getting their feet off the ground a little bit would be.
Yeah, I think you kind of killed it with that, because you just have to, like we talked about at the very beginning, you have to understand that it's okay to fail, and it's okay to flip flop, your decision once you hear something and are receptive about like a better way to do something. And, pride, as we said, pride is a very tricky thing to navigate around. And a lot of that, like when you are very prideful about your business, and like as an entrepreneur, like you are a lot of times you're your own boss. So you become very prideful over the entity that you create, but not all of us, especially as we're beginning in in those entrepreneurial traits, you don't know everything, and you need to continue to go out there and have like a close, and like we believe in a 3-person or like 3 other people as your circle, 3 people you look up to, and continue to bring in different pieces of their business or strategy or, you know, development. And you do that until you reach like a level of like just stagnant behavior. And then once you become stagnant, then okay, where are my 3 other best CEOs or CFOs or just somebody from each different walks of life, but somebody who's going to help me with my business or any part of my brand, and then I'm going to go attract myself to or attach myself to them and pick 3 things from them or pick little pieces from those 3. And then once my business becomes stagnant at that point, then I'm going to gravitate to another 3. And that's what we do like in basketball training growing up. Like if you're the best person in the gym, you're not getting
Wrong
better. Like
gym.
your game, yes, you're in the wrong gym. Your game is just going to be stagnant. And like for some, we teach all of our players, we tell all of our players that is like, hey, you get into a gym and you graduate from that space, you're the best person there. Find something you're going to get beat up and suck, and they're going to challenge you to become a better player, because it's going to do you no good getting reps in at a low level. Like you want to be the best. If you want to be the best player businessman you can be, then you got to surround yourself by people who are way better than you. So I think it takes a lot of looking in the mirror to be like, okay, I need to embrace that I'm going to suck for right now, and things are going to be difficult, and I'm not going to be as successful, but this is going to help me out, push me through this kind of like stagnant space in the long run.
I love it, bro. I feel the exact same way. And how I very like simply look at it is the second that your goal changes from success to consistency, then you're walking on water, you know.
Yeah, dang,
It
that's
changes a lot.
a very simplistic way to put it, man. I love that. I love that.
So I want to ask you now, you work a ton, and I like asking this question to people because I think it's a subject that's not talked about enough, but making sure that mentally you're super clear, you're super happy and healthy all the time. Because everybody, no matter what they do, has to get away from what they do at some point in time, or they have to, for most people, it's working out. For some people, it's changing their diet, making, eating healthier. How do you keep yourself sane, mentally clear, off? Or what are some of the things that you try to do to make all of that a little bit easier?
For me, my faith has always been like a big component of who I am. So making sure that we have our small group, making sure that my wife and I are able to go to church or watch like our church service and kind of be in the word. Like that's always been, my clear place, an opportunity for myself, my family to all be on the same page, and for me to turn off work mode. And especially navigating around a time where, social media is 24 hours a day. So like if you're in the content creating business, you literally could be working from sun up to sundown, and then at the weirdest hours in the middle of the night because you need to post something or do something for this. And like, it's different, and like, for me, that was having my clear space of going to church and where I can turn my phone off and or listen to a service, or, indicators for me to be like, yes, this is where I need to just stop, turn everything off, keep myself fresh. And it's one of those things, like when you withdraw yourself from something, it makes you attracted to that thing so much more, versus like constantly being in the driver's seat the entire time. You're going to hate, driving. You pull yourself away. If you have a sports car and you drive that thing 18 hours a day, you're going to hate driving that car. But if you have, look forward to something on the weekends, or you take yourself away from that thing and then be like, oh my gosh, I haven't driven my car in 3 days. You go to driving that car, it's going to be like you're going back, and it's a new spurt in life in you. And like for me, that's what makes it so much easier to be so vibrant. And I'm a very passionate guy, as you probably noticed on the court and just through this, interview or this podcast. But like, it helped me so much. Like and people get this perception like I work a lot. I really don't. My hours are 10 to 4, Monday through Friday, and I do not do anything on the weekends. Like, and when Monday comes around, yes, and when Monday comes around, I'm so excited and pumped to get back in the gym and see these faces and see these people and communicate with people. So being able to take yourself away, have your clear space, whatever that may be, and just, give you that, that refreshing experience of going back to the work week or going back to whatever it is that you're doing.
Well, my man, you're definitely in the driver's seat, both literally and figuratively.
Man, great job, Buster.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you best?
Social medias at JLawBball. Our YouTube, Jordan Lawley Basketball. JordanLawley.com for any and all details on merch and everything. More so, just look for the guy who's screaming and yelling a ton on Instagram and social.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it, and we'll have you back on soon.
Buster, my pleasure. Stay safe, man.
Likewise. All right, everybody. See you on the next one. Peace.